I'm bound to you.
Hey everyone, so if you're new to the channel, you might not know what's sitting behind me, which is my 1980 40 Escort panel van. I made a video on this about a year and a half ago, and if you generally just subscribe to the channel, then you won't know what it is. So I bought this car in July of 2015, and it was not running. It was completely stripped. It had barely any parts. It was kind of a barn find, and ever since then I've been spending, every weekend sort of doing it up and trying to get it better and trying to make it road legal again. It hadn't run since 2002, so I was trying to get it registered and safe to a point where it could be driven and reliable, and I could use it almost every day. Probably more of a weekend car. I'd have to get it daily, but yeah, so I thought I'd do a bit of an update video because it's been a long time since anyone will have seen it. So what's new? Well, pretty much everything mechanically has been changed. As you can see, the bodywork is not in the best condition, but panel and paint was at the later stages of the build of this car, but mainly mechanical and structural repairs and modifications have been done right now. So I'll basically run you through the main modifications of the car, which have been brake, suspension and electrical work to get it nice and reliable and safe so that I can drive on the street and not worry about late braking and that kind of thing. They're all original parts putting back in, but they're just new parts, so they're just reproduction parts of the same thing. So new tires, which are 185 7013s, brand new brakes front and rear, so the rears are drums and the front are just pads, and we've machined the discs, put new wheel bearings in, the caliper rotors, sorry, the caliper pistons were reconditioned, and new pads basically, and new lines. So they're not braided lines or anything, they're just regular rubber lines, but yeah, just trying to restore everything to mainly factory condition and just to make it safe again. And yeah, so the whole idea is that this car was deregistered, or is deregistered, and I want to get it road legal again. And in order to do so, it's kind of a test that new cars go through, and so you need to meet safety requirements. Obviously, it doesn't have seat belts, so there's some leniency there. But things like reverse light, which I don't have. Like I don't have a catalytic converter. Some things, old cars before 1991, as of 2016, they can be relieved of some requirements such as a cat, and I'm just trying to get the car road legal again so I can drive it on the street and have a fun time at it. I've actually taken it a few times up to the supermarket, which was quite fun. Had a few people stop and wait for me to get out of the supermarket so they can come and chat. This is kind of a car that nowadays not really many people know what it is, but many years ago they were the Toyota Hiace of New Zealand, and a lot of people have some good memories with them touring New Zealand and whatnot. So yeah, I'm going to give you a bit of a tour of the engine bay and see what I've done thus far. This is just a standard 1300cc Ford Kent motor that came in it, and this is a crossflow motor putting out about 64 horsepower to the rear wheels. It's fairly standard. When I got it, the car, it wasn't running, so a lot of the time, build time was just spent trying to make it start and run reliably. Had a lot of carburetor issues, which did hinder my reliability for a long time. Partly being due to not having an air filter on it. So I bought it without this air filter here. It just had a cover off, so it was just the carb would just suck in air from the atmosphere. And when you're dealing with a carb, it's all about air fuel mixture, and when the carb is sucking in way too much air than it needs to be, that's not filtered, it can make tuning the air fuel ratio really tricky. But no, I got it. I managed to buy this air filter off a 40 Escort that was going twin side draft, so I didn't need the air filter. So yeah, managed to put that on. Another thing was this battery clamp. So we bought one from Repco, which is a local auto parts store in New Zealand, and it was actually horizontal, so it went this way like that, and it was made of plastic. So it was actually really not that sturdy, and I felt like it wasn't that quality. So we ended up using the threads from the sides down here, and then me and my dad put this together, and it goes vertically now, and you can't even you can move the whole car with the battery mount, so that's really nice. And all the wiring in the car, from some of the previous episodes, there was a lot of episodes that I never actually put out on live, purely because they were kind of incomplete. So a lot of my time was spent cleaning up the wiring. So a lot of these battery terminal wires, for example, were fraying and were just awful, appalling wiring, and so a lot of that was just cleaning it up, like putting neat cable ties here and there. And really, I think the engine bays turned out quite neat and tidy. The only thing holding it back is the paint. We reconditioned the radiator, flushed it out, painted it black, nice, and did the overflow tubing, nice and neat. The only thing probably hindering power as well is the distributor. The distributor is kind of unreliable, and so yeah, probably the next thing to change out will be the Dizzy. Got the windshield wiper lines plumbed in. They weren't working before, and luckily the battery for the wiper tank worked anyway. Other than that, there's just a horn relay that we put in there, which I got off eBay for like $12, but fairly simple wiring. It's a Bosch, and then it just comes in the grill there, as you can see. I can play a little tune. So, not bad, not bad. So I just spun the car around to make it easier to film inside, because as you can see, the outside light is very harsh, and I want to show you the interior of the car and as well as the exhaust. So it's got a custom 2-inch exhaust from the aftermarket extractors all the way to the back. Basically it's a straight pipe, so it comes from the extractors all the way along across the underneath of the body. There's a muffler over the diff and then straight out. No resonator, no cat, no, only one muffler. So it is pretty loud. It's only 2.5 inch, so it's not insanely loud, but I think it sounds really nice for a 4-cylinder. It's really got that iconic Escort sound. It sounds kind of like a Honda, like a really deep Honda, especially up in the high RPM range. Not that I know what RPM it's at, it's got no reader, because the rev counter doesn't work, but yeah. So I'll show you the interior now. So as you can see, really standard interior. Sorry about the quality of the image. I have to turn up the ISO because it's really dark and there's nothing I can really do about it. So it's got the standard Escort steering wheel. It's got this leather sort of cover on the end. I didn't put that on there. It's got a sport dash, which is uncommon. They didn't come in vans, and yes, that's pretty cool. I quite like that. Standard 4-speed with the brown leather seats. These are sport door cards, I've been told. Correct me if I'm wrong. And yeah, 4-speed manual. I'll just jump in. So this indicator stalk is actually out of a Mark V Cortina, I think. That's indicator and horn. It's got a Clarion radio, which is period correct, but it didn't come standard. This is normally a cubby which flips around like this, and you put coins and stuff in it. And this is here where you put the radio normally. So I bought it with this in here, and then I had to buy a center console. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Probably either switch this to there, or cover that blanking off, and then make it a cubby to put coins and stuff. It's got this little thing down here with the clock. That's pretty cool. When I bought the car, the interior was enough. I had nothing in here. So there was a cracked dash. This one is a fiberglass one, which I bought online with a guy who sent it up from the South Island, actually. So I had a cracked dash. I've got actually a new sticker for this because these are faded, but it's in my dad's house, so I need to pick that up again. I bought a center console, which has like a leather boot shift, which is quite nice. And I put carpet. The carpet is actually out of a sedan. Sorry if you can't see it, but it's down there. It's just like carpet out of a sedan, cut to suit the van, because the van's carpet was non-existent. And of course the Mighty Carmen's keychain for being an inspiration to me. Let's go for a drive, hey? So this car, it's 36 years old, and what that means is that it has no electronics to help you. It has no power steering, no ABS brakes. It's a 4-speed manual. Cars back in the day were only 4-speed manual because, you know, they don't have the need for one. This car's top speed from the factory was 126 kilometers an hour. I've been 110 in it. It wasn't built for speed. This car is a classic, what we now know as a Toyota Hiace. They made the panel van all the way through to the Mark III variant. This is the Mark II. And so this car was actually classed as a van. So I mean, obviously not going to be performance orientated in a car that's designed to deliver goods. This car is very stripped out interior wise. So all it has is 2 front seats, carpet, you know, a steering wheel, and that's about it really. The back section of the car is just, right now it's just got parts in it, but it's normally just a stripped, back, you know, designed to fit goods, goods and services. This was probably some kind of courier van back in the day, and now it's my classic car that my restoration project. Yeah, so it's a 1.3 litre, driving about 64 horsepower to the rear wheels, and it's obviously not a quick car, but you wouldn't expect it to be. It's more just a summer cruiser, you know, turn some heads and have a lot of fun in. So one thing I must note, that being a taller individual, it's kind of an awkward drive for me, because the indicator stalk is like a foot long, and so really a lot of tasks like that can be quite difficult. Even indicating is awkward. Another funny thing to note is that the windshield wipers, they're not fully automatic. Although they will go up and down with the press of a switch, they don't stop automatically. So they'll go up and down, but then as soon as you let the switch go, it'll stop where it was previously. So you could have it stop in the middle of the windscreen. So it's just small things like that which really make this car unique, and even just the sounds that it makes. Even in the higher rev range, it really sounds good. Almost sounds like a Honda, but I don't mind. Yeah, so the suspension in the back, they're leaf springs. It's not the most comfortable ride in the world, especially for my size, and you can really smell the petrol. Because there's no trim in the back, all the fumes just get pumped in. There's also no red door rubbers, so any smoke and fumes from the carbureted engine, you know, which is obviously going to be less efficient, is going to produce more fumes than an injected engine. The smokes and fumes just come straight through the back window. So you got to have the windows down at all times, really, unless you want carbon monoxide poisoning. If you're wondering what that noise is, I've just got a bunch of car parts in the back. I'm kind of using the car as storage right now because it's not actually road legal. So they're just clattering around, no worries though. Yeah, this car makes all the right noises. It backfires occasionally. It's a really good summer cruiser, not that it's legal yet, but so you definitely do notice every every bump. And it's good to be back in a manual again. My daily driver is a Mazda 3, which has a 4-speed auto. So for many car enthusiasts, you'll know it's, you know, not the most exciting car. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video. I mean, it's been a while since I made a Escort video. It's been over a year. But as is with many project cars, this car has taken a long time to even get off the ground. It wasn't running properly for about 3 months, purely because I didn't know what I was doing. It's sort of my first endeavor with a carbureted car, and they're very niggly, I would say. I mean, obviously a fuel injected car is going to be more complicated, but this is something that I had zero experience time, 0 hours with. And so just getting to know how the jets work and how the manual choke works, you know, it's all new experience for me. But actually, I love driving this car. It might be loud and it might smell, but, you know, it might be slow as hell, but it's really fun. And then, you know, the appreciation that other people can show for it is quite remarkable. Yeah, you gotta take things slow with this old girl. Yeah. Oh, I hardly drive it. Kilometers an hour. Apologies for the gear change, but yeah. Go back, better not go out for too long. Just a couple of laps around the block is enough. And back home. So she goes alright for an old girl. Yeah, so the fate of this car is kind of uncertain. Yeah, I don't know what the future holds for it. Hopefully panel and paint, but times, you know, I might have to put on the market, so yeah, kind of hard for me to admit that, but I might have to sell it, so yeah. But if I do, I'll probably go Japanese, probably go Sylvia ways. Yeah, I guess. But yeah, thanks very much for watching, and subscribe if you're new. If you like Escorts, let me know. If you want to see more episodes of the Escort, let me know. And I'll do my best to put out content for you guys. Yeah, thanks very much.